Hello everyone and welcome to Geopolitical Trends. My name is David Oualaalou. So good to be with you as always. Qatar has signed a deal with China for 27 years. It's the biggest deal Qatar ever had. So in this video, I'm going to provide you a brief analysis about what it means moving forward and how that deal, it's a reflection of the changing global order, especially of course in the energy market, but also politically speaking. But before I delve deeper into this, let me express my thanks first to Secret Fountain of Youth. Thank you very much for your super sticker. I really appreciate your support. I also want to remind you about the upcoming live stream on December 3rd at 1200 hours, 12 p.m., which will be about 6 p.m. GMT, your time, whatever part of the world you're in. There's also another announcement I wanted to let you know about. I will be doing a webinar, a free webinar that is. It will be about the upcoming course that I am going to be teaching online if you are interested. And as always, remember to subscribe if you have not done so and smash that notification button so you will be notified every time a video comes out. And thank you for your support. All right, let's dive into this fascinating. I use the term fascinating because it shows literally the changes that's going on the global stage. So Qatar Energy has signed, as I said at the beginning, 20-year deal to supply China, Sinopec, which is with liquefied natural gas or LNG. What the thing is that this is the longest deal that Qatar has make as far as arrangements or agreements so far. And why is this important at this time? Because the volatility in the energy market on the global level. And also because the countries that wanted a deal are looking for a long term, that is. So this is why the Europeans end up holding the end of the stick. Yes, I will use that term because they didn't realize when they embarked on sanctions, they had no clue about the impact long term. And this is why now countries that have the resources are not going to cut a deal with Europe for a year or two. They're going to look for customers that want a long term, 15 years, 20 years. And here is this one, 27 years. Because of course the EU sanctions against Russia's military ops in Ukraine, competition now over or for liquefied natural gas is getting very fierce. Because there are only a few countries that can provide gas, especially for Europe. That's why I said they end up holding the end of the stick because Qatar told them straightforward, sorry, we can't provide you that capacity that Russia used to provide. And what are we talking about here? Europe needs about 40% of gas that it used to import from Russia by itself, because Russia is a major gas producer and energy that as a whole. And the thing is, like I said before, and there is a record for it, the moment the European embarked on sanctions, I said, mark my word, Europeans cannot live or survive without Russian gas. First of all, the proximity. Second thing, it was cheaper. Not anymore. And Qatar looks at this because, by the way, European Union approached Qatar and Qatar said, we can replace Russia's massive amount of gas they used to give you. And second, this is Qatar adding that we do have commitments towards Asian nations. So we can't break the contract just to give you gas, to Europeans that is. So this latest mammoth liquefied natural gas supply deal between Qatar and China adds further weight. Because here's the thing. The deal is about $60 billion. Let me repeat this. $60 billion deal that involves the state-owned petroleum company in Qatar. It's called Qatar Energy, which will supply the China's petroleum and chemical corporations called Sinopec. So, and what is going to be providing the Chinese with? They're going to be providing them with 4 million metric tons of liquefied natural gas every year for the next 27 years. Yeah. And I will provide you, of course, the link to all this, And when this agreement, which, by the way, just was signed a few days ago, it's going to be starting in 2026. So basically, in the big picture, what does it mean? It means that now the EU, there is no other source for them except to buy it, either liquefied natural gas from the US at 10 times the price, or they're going to have to look for another source from Africa, which it won't work anyway, or they're going to have to lift sanctions on Russia so Russia can resume delivering gas. Even though, and this is my opinion, I'm leaning towards more that Russia will care less now whether to resupply Europe with gas or not. Why? Like I mentioned in my previous video, that Russia already has two main giant markets, India and China. So why will they even bother with Europe? I just don't see it. If I were advising a government, in this case would be the Russians or even the European, what are you going to say? No. You kind of embarked on a policy, you, the European Union, embarked on a policy that you end up shooting yourself in the foot, not realizing that your 40% of your energy needs comes from one country and you end up sanctioning that country. What do you expect? Just common sense. So for Qatar, it's a big deal, this deal with China. For China, it is the longest liquefied natural gas supply contract ever. And one of its largest in terms of volume also. Because remember, like I said last time, China is big market and it requires a lot of energy. So I remember I did a presentation, a private one for a private audience. And among them were some CEOs sitting there because they wanted to know as to where the market is headed. So, and I kind of provide them the data and the information that I have, which give them some insights into here is what to expect by 2030, and here is what to expect by 2035, and here is what to expect by 2049. And basically, when I showed them the charts, all I showed them was like it's spiking up as far as the demand for China's energy in comparison to the West, which shows that it was shrinking. So this is why Qatar made a strategic decision. This is a strategic decision. Yes, it is a business, of course, but it is strategic thinking in long term. So, and this is why to China, it is the first supply deal to be announced for the countries, for Qatar rather, I'm sorry. For Qatar, it is the first deal to be announced for the country's North Field East. It's known in the literature as the NFE. And the NFE, basically it is one that is shared with Iran because they discovered this kind of natural gas field a few years ago. I was aware of it about 5-6 years ago. And both countries, Qatar and Iran, came to an agreement regarding who explore what and which area and all that stuff. So, but here's the thing. Before the deal was signed, by the way, which was, again, it's signed a few days ago. I think, if I'm not mistaken, on November 21st. So, which is just like the last week. So, shortly before the deal was signed, Qatar Energy chief, his name is Saad Al-Kaabi, and I did mention him before. He stated, and I quote, let me get you guys the quote. The quote is this: "Today is an important milestone for the first sales and purchase agreement, known as SPA, for North Field East project. It is 4 million tons for 27 to Sinopec of China." End of quote. What's important about this quote? It's one word: milestone. Why is this? You may ask yourself. Like I always say, You look for the trends, right? What is Saudi Arabia wants to do next year? It wants to join BRICS. Why is that? Because of the energy market is shifting from the west towards the east, because that's where the consumption is going to be. So Qatar, given the amount of natural gas or liquefied natural gas it produces, which is, Qatar, by the way, is the second in the world. It produces a lot, doesn't want to be left behind either. So they are embarking on that train right now. That is why the key terms, milestone, is not just used randomly there. So, and like I said earlier, the NFAE or the North Field in Qatar is part of the world's biggest gas field that Qatar shares with Iran. You know, usually the share of Qatar is called the South Pars. That is what it's called. And basically, in my opinion, it's really signifies long-term deals are here on importance for both the seller and the buyer. In this case, for Qatar as a seller and China as a buyer. Because again, country is going to be looking at a long term. This is why Europeans, they're gonna experience some major challenges, economically speaking, with the shortages in energy. So, Qatar Energy, earlier this year, the company that is, earlier this year signed 5 deals for North Field East, or NFE. You know, the first and larger of the 2-phase North Field expansion plan, which include 6, get this guys, 6 liquefied natural gas trains that will ramp up Qatar liquefaction capacity from 77 million to 126 million tons per year by 2027. This is why they cut the deal with the Chinese to provide liquefied natural gas for 27 years. Because Qatar, they have the capacity to do so. And by the way, China is already getting liquefied natural gas also from Russia. It just tells you, I won't be surprised that China will be selling the access to Europe, and you can guess about the price that they're going to be charging, and rightly so. It's a business transaction. You know, emotions don't need to get involved. Oh, we feel sorry for the Europeans or no. It's a business decision, you know. If you want to buy gas, you Europeans, here is what you pay for it. End of story. So, and this is the way I see it. So the individuals in charge of both countries argued this, saying that we are very happy about this deal with Sinopec. This is what the representative of Qatar said, because we have had, according to the quote, we have had a long-term relationship in the past, and this takes our relationship to new heights as we have an SPA that will last into 2050, end of quote. This is what their Minister of Energy, Al-Ka'bi, said. Once again, pay attention to the wording. We have had a long-term relationship in the past. This is about Qatar and China. Relationships matters. This is why Qatar evaluated between, do we supply gas to Europe or do we supply gas to China or Asia for that matter? They evaluated, for the European is going to be short term. For China is going to be a long term. So they want to head where it makes sense, because it makes more sense. So here's my analysis, my brief analysis about all this, the way I see it. So times are changing on both the geopolitical and economic landscapes. So, and the balance of both economic and political power is shifting towards Asia. This is nothing new. You know, if you are paying attention to the geopolitical trends, you are witnessing now a shift within the global balance of power, you know, towards the east. Also, you are witnessing a shift into the economic balance of power towards the east. So, In a world now where, for example, several major economies may need huge quantities of gas delivered very quickly and with very little notice, Qatar, as the top liquefied natural gas producer or exporters, occupies the same sort of swing producer position in the global gas market the same way Saudi Arabia does when it comes down to oil market. It's just the reality of it. This is how it is. And given what is at stake for major industrialized nations, especially in the West, you all know that some companies in Germany is going to be closing their doors by the end of the year because there is not enough energy. There's not enough gas. So the stakes for the major industrialized nations in the West and in the East, there is little wonder that Qatar has been generally careful to tread a diplomatic path between the effective leaders of the global order, or sphere of influence, if you will, the United States and China. And this is once again, as an analyst, if I am to put my geopolitical analyst hat, I will think in terms of whoever was advising the Qatari government. You're going to say, yeah, you are dealing with two major powers, okay? Two major influencers on both the geopolitical aspect or political aspect and the economic. But you're going to have to evaluate where are your benefits is going to lie with. And the advice will come, it's with Asia, because that's where the wealth has already shifted from the West to the East. This is the next hub, economic hub, global economic hub, that is. So and even you notice this in recent months that the energy supply, which is exacerbated by supply constraints, of course, as a result of the sanctions on Russia, it appears to me personally that Qatar has gradually moved closer to China and is continuing to do so. This is why, again, they kind of politely refused Europe's request for providing them with gas, and they said, sorry, we don't have that capacity. That was a nicer way of saying, no, we can't do it because your term is only short. We're looking for our interest, and our interest lies with China because we have a long term. And that's what basically Qatar did. And do you blame them for that? No, it's a business decision. That's how they see it. So here is my question for you for today. Are major energy producers in the Middle East shifting towards the East? Let me repeat. In your opinion, are major energy producers in the Middle East shifting towards the East? Make sure to let me know what you think. I would like to read your feedback on it. And as always, guys, remember, geopolitics impacts your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.